my wife's car, usually.
How much you want for it?
How much you want to pay?
$5?
Let's hear 9.
No, 6 1/4.
8.50?
8.
Done!
It's a deal. Okay. 100, 200, 300.
He meant hundreds!
400, 500, 6, 7, and 8.
So what you're saying is that he didn't value that car very highly.
But I thought someone else would. Turned out to be Lance. And what he paid didn't do much more than just cover all those costs. I'm not getting rich in this business.
Ben, I've been thinking. I suppose you could find me an Edsel?
See? When people begin to demand things more, prices respond. With a new, greater demand for those cars, the market clearing price goes up. And people like that man in Midvale, who had a low value for those cars, will sell. And people like Lance, who now place a higher value on them, end up getting them. The new market clearing price made that worthwhile transfer possible. It's easy to understand that when demand increases for something like antique cars. But it's true of everything, even meat. For example, if people get wealthier and that increases their demand for meat, here's what would happen.
And I'll have 2 fillets for each of 4 steak eaters. That makes 8 steaks.
Right. But usually, you usually have 1 fillet for each of 4 steak eaters, and that's 4, usually.
I know. David got a raise, so we're adjusting. I'll have 2 for each of 4. I'm having a steak twice.
Okay. How about hamburger?
Yes. I'll have 2 patties for each of 2 hamburger eaters. That makes 4.
4, right. But usually...
I know. I know.
Mrs. Sherman, why didn't you just say double my order?
When demand increases, a lot of people want to buy more meat at the current price, more than they were buying. Inventories are run down. At first, you don't know if the increased sales are permanent or just a day-to-day variation.
Hey, Julia! Are customers ordering more meat this week because they want to eat more meat? Or are they all having company or something?
I don't know. No.
Well, I think we're running out. What are we going to do?
I don't know. Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Regardless of why they're buying more meat, I'm placing a larger order to bring my inventory back to normal. Put it over there, men.
Right away, Julia.
What's wrong? You're very agreeable.
Ooh-wee. You got a pretty big order here. Keep it up.
364 days. You mutter, you mumble, you joke, you giggle. But one time I make a big order to replenish my inventory. One time and it's anything you say, Julia.
Anything you say, Julia.
See? Because of the larger orders by us butchers to restock our inventories, our suppliers attempt to buy more cattle.
Well, there's going to be a steak fry tonight. I got that one for $2.50. I don't believe it, but friends, I just sell them. Hey, listen, here comes one right now. What am I bidding for this big burly guy over here? Do I hear $3.50? Come on, 50. Got $3.50 over here. Give me 75, 75. Got $3.75. Let's make it an even 4.
What do you say, Murph?
$4.10.
I don't know. The price is getting right up there.
Well, we're all trying to buy more beef, but there just isn't that much more beef. Ah, that is one big mamo.
I just don't think it'll pay to bid much higher to get more. I don't think the beef will sell for that.
But we'll just go to 5, right? Just 5, no higher. I'm going to get it. I say 5.
Mister, you bought it for 5 right there.
Cattle prices rise because customers want more meat. And with those higher cattle prices and higher costs to my suppliers, I'll be charged more for meat. How much? This is pretty steep.
You paid more for the meat to get it for you. Otherwise, somebody else would have gotten it. It cost us more.
That's right.
It's going to cost you more.
That's right.
It's going to cost you more. If I want to stay in business and cover these costs, I've got to charge a higher price. As a matter of fact, it's because your demand for beef has gone up.
Why have prices gone up?
Look, remember when you offered to pay more for liver so you could get some?
Yes, but...
Well, now everybody wants more meat. They're willing to pay more to get it. That drove up the cost of cattle and my costs, and these prices to a new market-clearing level.
Well, now...
Your order, it's going to cost you more.
Then I'll just buy a little more. I was going to double my order, but at these prices...
Because of an increase in their wealth, customers demanded more meat than before. That made the price of meat go up. The effect of the new higher price forced customers like Kathleen to restrain how much more they demand to match the amount available. But the new higher price has an effect on supply, too.
You heard the price of cattle's really up there.
Guess so.
Now it'll pay you to grow and fatten more beef, huh?
Suppose so.
Without that higher price, you just wouldn't raise more cattle, right?
Yep.
Been nice talking to me.
The new higher price gets more beef produced. When that larger amount is ready for market, the price of meat will fall back a little, but not all the way back to where it was before wealth increased demand. Why not all the way back? Because then cattlemen couldn't afford to produce a larger amount.
Prices are a little better. I'll buy a little more meat.
How much do you want?
A little more.
What's the order, Eunice?
Well, we'll have chicken on Tuesday and fish on Friday, and we're going out on Thursday.
Eunice.
Huh?
Are you going to make a decision?
Oh, give me a little time. Sure. Now, let's see. We could have chicken next week and pot roast on Tuesday.
When the people's demand for meat increases, say because their wealth increases, the price of meat rises. The higher price has two effects. It gets more meat produced. The higher price also restrains the increased amount demanded to match the new amount supplied. No one gave orders to make it happen. Our responses to prices make the amount supplied adjust and the amount demanded adjust to match each other. Every business has fluctuations in sales, ups and downs. That's one reason why there are inventories. They're buffers to cushion us against those ups and downs. Like any other seller, the price I can successfully charge for meat in my store is one thing I don't control. That's called the market clearing price, at which the amount people demand matches the amount available. That price prevents shortages that would occur if the price were kept below it. Surpluses would occur if the price was kept above the market clearing price. Most of the time, things sell at the market clearing price. But that price doesn't always stay the same. Remember Lance's car? When demand increased for that kind of car, that resulted in a higher price. The higher price transferred those cars from people with a lower value for them to those who valued them highest. A middleman made that exchange cheaper and easier. A new higher market clearing price is discovered where all the people who want a car at that new price can buy one. But with something like meat, the same thing and even more happens. When people demand more meat, first, inventories are run down. And then, larger orders are placed. Suppliers trying to buy more cattle drive cattle prices up. Higher cattle prices mean higher costs to all the butchers and higher prices to consumers. All because of the consumers' greater demand for meat. The effect of a higher price is to restrain the increased amount demanded to match the amount supplied by the butchers. Another thing the higher market price does, it makes raising more beef profitable for cattlemen. Then finally, as the amount of beef increases, the market price of meat falls back a little, but not all the way back to where it was. If it went all the way back, the cattlemen couldn't continue to produce more to satisfy increased demand. So the final result of a demand increase is more meat at a somewhat higher price. A new market clearing price. That's what happened. Oops. Oh, what did I have here? 42, no, 29. No, that wasn't it.
Prices will seek their level. The market clears with a powerful price that's rather precise because it stops a surplus or shortage short. The amount that we buy just matches supply. The people who live on Market Street, you gotta see how they act. You're looking at economic facts. The economics repeat what people do. Here on Market Street. Here comes Market Street.
What do you know about that? Dogs on my lawn, graffiti on my fence, and now my bicycle. I thought the nice thing about a bicycle is that it never went for a ride without you. What, nobody respects my property rights? Thanks, Annie.
Look, Samuel. Officer Bloom with your bicycle.
Well, I get it back. The criminal uses the bike all day while I stay in.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Codner.
He didn't even ask for the right to use it. He stole it.
Samuel, couldn't you stop a minute?
I lost out having that bicycle yesterday. I'm the victim.
Oh, Bloom, a little glass of tea.
When I get robbed, I don't get paid. I do the paying. Anyway, did you get him? The one who stole it from me?
Yes, sir, we did. But now he said he only wanted to use it yesterday.
Yesterday? He didn't have a right to use it yesterday. He stole it. Couldn't have gone and rented one. So he'd have a right to use a bike. But no, it wasn't worth it. So he got caught. Boy, oh boy, he will pay.
So will you, Sam? $5.50 for a new bike lock.
I go through something like that every day, enforcing people's rights to property. We live in an exchange economy where people exchange rights to property. Every time people buy something, a pound of hamburger or any other good, they get the right to use that good in the most valuable way to them. Or they can trade that right for something else later if it's worth it. And when that thief stole Mr. Codner's bicycle, no exchange of rights to that bicycle had occurred. But if the thief had offered to rent Mr. Codner's bicycle, and Mr. Codner had agreed, an exchange of rights would have occurred. Then Mr. Codner wouldn't have called me to enforce his rights. Point is, so long as people have clear rights to property and respect those of others, they can trade with each other.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
But it's not always true for all things that someone has the clear rights to property.
Can't anyone have a little peace and quiet around here? It's been a half an hour already. Oh, how long is this going to go on? You kids have got to cut that out.
But Mrs. Jameson, we have to practice.
He's right. He's always right. Besides, we have the right to practice here all day. Daddy!
Hi, Louise.
Peace and quiet. That's my right. Peace and quiet.
Sure, Louise.
Can't you tell those kids to go practice in a basement or on an island like Samoa or something? Anywhere but here. What about a studio?
Now, studio time costs an awful lot.
Wait a minute. Louise, I said they could practice here. They have as much right to make music as you have to peace and quiet.
Oh, really? When Edward uses his power saw and you can't hear yourself think, then you complain.
I do.
And when they fill the air with whatever that is, I can complain. I have a right to peace and quiet. It is mine. Now, get those kids to knock that off. Please.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, now listen.
See? In this case, rights to property weren't so clear for a thing like peace and quiet. They defined their rights to property. And once they had done that, Louise could use her land with its peace and quiet in the most valuable way to her. Or she could trade that right to Lance and the kids. That way, they could make an exchange that would make everyone better off.
Now, wait a minute, Mrs. Jameson. We'll make you a deal. We'll buy or rent your right from you. That's what we'll do. Now, what can I offer her that's worth more than her peace and quiet? but less than the cost of renting a studio. How about if we water your flowers tomorrow?
That's not worth much. It's not worth as much as good old peace and quiet. Sorry, no deal. I want to put together my birdcage in peace.
No good. Not worth enough. But if I offer her something that's worth even more, maybe she'll let us keep playing. How about if we water your flowers and wash your car? And mow your lawn?
That's a deal.
Once Louise and David defined who had the right to use the air, an exchange was agreed to that made everyone better off. Here's how the exchange worked. Louise accepted because a car wash and getting her lawn mowed were more valuable to her than 2 hours of peace and quiet. The kids came out better off because the value of their practice for 2 hours was worth more to them than their cost of mowing the lawn and washing the car. As a result, their voluntary agreement about the use of the air got the most valuable things done. Because the most valuable thing was to have some noise, not no noise at all, and not noise all day. Now, if property rights can't be defined and agreed on, people will use things in ways that can do more harm than good. Look what happened last summer. This is Lake Kikiwawa. Most of the Market Street residents come here for their summer vacations. Anyone can use it as they like. Rights to it haven't been defined. That's where the trouble begins. Look what's happening to the lake. No one owns it or has any clear-cut rights to it. So when David Sherman went to dump garbage and part of it fell in the lake, he figured it would cost him nothing just to leave it. But it would cost him a lot of energy to pick it up, repack it, and dump it in the garbage can up the hill. Dishes, barbecue grill, why hassle cleaning up?
Sippy drink, another one. Doesn't your kid do anything but throw sippy drink cans in the lake?
What shall we do about this dirty lake? Let's think.
Think!
Think!
Think, think, think! We could buy the lake. We could buy the lake.
That's not thinking.
Think, think, think!
Clean it ourselves. Take turns.
That's not thinking. That's not thinking.
Think, think, think!
Put up a notice, maybe. Chlorine tablets in the water. Vacuum the beach.
Think, think, think!
Get together, form a council.
That's thinking. That's thinking. Now, this council has been formed to set up rules to monitor the lake.
Right, okay.
What is monitor?
Who knows? Monitors watch to make sure it stays clean.
Right. That's right. Now, here are the rules.
No leftovers in the lake.
Okay.
Right.
No fish bones.
Except in living fish.
And no sippy drink cans. And no sippy drink.
No peanut shells, whole or cracked, okay?
No garbage, gum wrappers, lollipops, cigarettes.
Without clearly defined rights to the lake, it wasn't worth the trouble to any individual to keep the lake cleaner. The council tried to prevent using the lake as a dumping ground by setting up guidelines. You know what those guidelines were? A way of saying who had the right to do what. Now, there's another lake owned by Mr. Jameson.
Edward, I'm so glad you bought this land and this lake. You know, Kikiwawa was getting kind of smelly.
My lake is so clean.
Oh, hi, Mr. Jameson.
Kathy, may I point out that when you rented a cottage from me, you didn't get the right to wash paintbrushes in the lake. Only Philistines wash paintbrushes in lakes.
Well, it's biodegradable paint.
You should wash your paintbrushes in the cottage or else use a juice can. That way, my sewage and filter system won't be wasted. That system's here to keep the lake clean. Cleaner than Kikiwawa. You like the lake clean. That's why you want to rent here.
Look, Edward, over there.
Well, Production, you're the one. What are you doing?
What do you look like I'm doing? Scooby-Dooby.
Now, wait a minute. When I rented you a cottage, I never said that you could bathe in the lake. I don't swim in your bathtub.
You against baths or something?
No baths in this lake. It's clean.
That's why you pay higher rent. It's worth it to you. And it pays me to take care of it, to monitor it. Mr. Jameson's rights to that lake and the surrounding land are clearly defined and recognized. He owns the lake. He can control what goes on at his lake. He gains by keeping it cleaner and safer and more desirable because the additional rent he can collect exceeds the cost of monitoring and maintaining the lake. The tenants gain because they get a better, more desirable lake, which is more valuable to them than the rent they pay. And so the lake is kept more valuable as a clean vacation spot. With things like air or water, it's not a question of keeping them perfectly clean with no pollution at all. Most times it's a question of how much pollution is worth it and for what purpose. This is Mr. Codner's old neighborhood, where Annie's cousins live. Some pollution is worth it to them.
Samuel! Hello, how are you?
Hello, Bella. What do you got on your nose? You look like you walked into the wall.
No, Codner, these are nose plugs for the smells from that restaurant next door. You never smelled anything like their sauerkraut.
I smelled. Terrible, terrible.
And the menu over there. Limburger cheese with Parmesan cheese.
Sounds good.
Fresh fish. No, not so fresh fish. So now I wear nose plugs.
Well, why did you complain?
Complain is all I did. You know why? Because they complain.
Who?
My tenants here in the building. Especially Walter and Sylvia.
Oh, and now you don't complain.
Now I don't complain. Now I watch color television as Walter and Sylvia.
You know, Bella, I think the smells affected your brain.
Now, come here. I'll show you. Yoo-hoo, Sylvia!
I'm busy. Walter has a splinter.
But Codner's here. He wants to see the color television set.
Sit still, Walter. Wait a minute, Bella. It's coming.
What are you doing, Sylvia? Leave my phone alone.
That's very nice. But what about the complaining?
Well, Walter and Sylvia complained to me they were going to move out. Or not pay me so much rent for such smells from the restaurant.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, but wait. So I lowered their rent.
Well, what about you, Bella? You're losing out on some of the rent.
Yeah, but I complained to the owner of the restaurant. Almost gave him a suit.
A lawsuit?
Yeah. That's when he offered me the money. $200 a month. So now we let him pollute the neighborhood with the smells from his whole menu all together in one sniff.
Well, what about this TV?
That's what I'm getting at. After I'd lowered the rent, Walter and Sylvia bought the color television set with the money they didn't have to pay me.
That's what I call good pollution. Bella, how can a restaurant owner afford to pay you $200 every month?
His customers pay him higher prices for the convenience of having a restaurant here.
Convenience?
Yeah, they don't have to drive so far. Just the fish with sauerkraut.
Well, it doesn't seem fair that a man can buy the right to pollute.
What's the matter? When you worked in the tailor shop, didn't your employer pollute your life with work?
What do you mean? He paid me.
Yeah, he took some of your leisure time and paid you more for it than that leisure time was worth to you.
Well, I like that kind of pollution. Not too much and not too little.
Better than having all leisure and no food. Or better, you should have worked for free.
That's what Annie always says. Oh, look, we gotta go meet Annie.
When only a few people are affected by pollution, it can be worked out. Like with Bella and her tenants and that restaurant owner. They and that restaurant owner could make an exchange that was valuable to everyone. His customers paid him enough so he could pay Bella. More than she lost from the lower rent and more than the value of fresher air. But with many factories and many people, those exchanges are too hard to arrange.
We'd get there sooner if these cars took the tollway instead of this free highway.
Look at this jam-up. Shame on them. Ugh, couldn't pay a toll. Here it is free, and we pollute our roads.
Hey, Bella, why couldn't all those companies that pollute the air, put out the smoke, why couldn't they pay some money to everybody just the same way those restaurant owners pay you and your tenants?
I don't know.
With that money, we could do what we want.
Only one thing.
What's that?
Too many factories, too many people. Too hard to do that. The exchanges can't be made or enforced. So we may end up with too much pollution or not enough.
So you're finally going to talk, huh?
Yeah, I'll talk.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll talk.
You've been informed of your rights?
Well, in the market system, people have rights to property. They can trade for something else if it's worth it. But when a theft occurs, no exchange takes place. The victim loses. Most times, rights to property are well defined, respected, and protected. For some things, these rights haven't been defined. But if rights can be agreed on, then a mutually satisfactory exchange can occur. That makes both parties better off. Or in other words, both parties get more from the exchange than what they give up. Exchanges permit things to be used in their most valued way, like when air was used with some noise, instead of no noise or noise all day. But those exchanges can occur only when rights to property are secure or can be agreed upon. Defining and securing rights can be very costly for some kinds of goods. Then excessive pollution can occur. That's because no one can gain the full benefits of using things in more valuable ways. With ownership of resources like Mr. Jameson's lake, the owner is willing to incur costs to keep it cleaner, as long as he can gain enough of the value from doing so. He avoids abuse of that resource, he and the users gain. If rights are too hard to define, like at Kikiwawa, an authority may decide how the lake will be used. If exchanges of rights can be made among people, some pollution of air or water or leisure time will be useful, not excessive. But where landowners are too numerous or too dispersed, either too much or too little pollution may occur. Like what Bella explained to Mr. Codner in the car. Got the picture?
Yeah, it's the same with everything. Not just lakes or air. The thing is, excessive pollution, traffic jams, congestion, or abuse of natural resources are basically alike. They're all caused when property rights are insecure.
Or aren't respected.
Or can't be traded. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Want to buy your watch back?
Here in the market system, it's very clear that people's property rights are what the system invites. But when these rights are absent or ill-defined, the most valued exchange is hard to arrange. The people who live on Market Street, you gotta see how they act. They're looking at economic facts. The economics repeat what people do. Here a market. The people who live on Market Street, you gotta see what they do. The people who live on Market Street and what they're taking you through. Is economics a treat? So take your seat. Here comes Market Street. Here comes Market Street. Here comes Market Street.
Eleanor's Furniture Company, my company. I've been making, well, handcrafted furniture for a long time. We're making money now, but it wasn't always that way. Last year, business got so good, I hired Julian to assist me. You know, help me out in routine things so I could pay more attention to running the business. But let me tell you, he hasn't done too well. See this? It's a Julian memo. He's kind of cute, though. Always these ambitious new schemes to improve the shop. It's getting so I hate to go out there anymore. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find.
Magnificent. Real talent. Not everyone can do black letters like these.
No, Julian. We don't do that. We can't do that.
But, Eleanor, look at that queue. Have you ever seen a better queue?
That's not it. We can't hire another finisher.
But, Eleanor, there's a lot of work to do around here.
Believe me, with what finishers are getting, it won't pay. Now, you try to find something else to do, huh? Okay. Most of my problems with Julian are over trying to find people to hire. Thing is, you can't hire any old person at any old price. How many people want to work is affected by the wage we pay. The first thing I told Julian about hiring was we want to pay the going wage, not more, not less. But Julian has to learn by experience, and for him, that means learning from mistakes.
Hey, gang, guess what? We're having an addition to the family.
You mean you, Eleanor? That's terrific.
No, our family. Here, in the shop. We're in the market for a couple of new Sanders.
Yeah? What you gonna pay?
I don't know. Plenty.
So what does he do? He offers too high a wage. Imagine this place.
Oh, cute. Next. You mean that's it? Move on, please. Next. But I didn't even show you my sanding. Gee. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Wait till you see this. With what you've got to pay, Cotter's coming out of retirement. Oh, it's a sensation. With a turn and a twist, I stand it like this.
Dum, 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 dum. Don't I know you from somewhere? Bernie's Trade School, class of 49. Well, never mind. You're hired, and you. Yay!
Seemed they were everywhere trying to get jobs, on the phone, popping out from behind cabinets. But did Julian take that as a signal? Oh, no. He stuck with that high wage and hired two. But when payday rolled around, what did we take in last month? This isn't it. Oh, Julian, what am I going to do with you? There you are.
Oh, hi there. What's up?
Payday, Julian. Payroll. That's what's up. Come back here, Julian. You not only hired two new Sanders, you paid them too much money. That's why everyone wants to work here.
Oh, personality, charm. That's what we have here.
No, losses. That's what we have here.
But I raised the prices and just passed the higher cost on to the customers.
No, we didn't. Setting a higher price on your furniture doesn't mean all your customers are going to pay it. You can't just pass on higher costs. Look. Wait till you see it. It's wonderful.
Is it you?
Here. Like it?
How do you explain it? It's so interesting. Does it swivel?
Oh, does it swivel? Whew. That's a bit too much. Julian! Julian, come here.
And what can we do for you?
Is something wrong with my eyes or your price?
Oh, that. That is the new price. Costs are up.
That's not the price I saw a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, but look at it. Not a splinter on it. Smooth, sanded to perfection. And that's not by accident, you know. New Sanders. Oh, they have such grace, speed.
But the wages, do you know what we're paying them? More than the wage Sanders are getting other places, the going wage. That's why costs are up.
So if you want to pay them too much, go ahead. I don't have to buy your furniture. I'll go to Lucky Deal. Their prices are better. Come on, Lou.
Maybe I'll buy something. No one else makes chairs like these. Not at Lucky Deal. I was going to buy 4 for my dinette. I guess I'll just buy 2.
Sure. Julian tried to cover the higher wages. But we can't take on a higher cost. Like paying a higher wage than our competitors and pass it on to the customers. They responded to the higher prices in a very predictable way. They bought less from us and more elsewhere. I thought that taught Julian the importance of paying the going market wage. But when I told him to hire a new carver, what do you think he did next? He went overboard and offered a lower wage, lower than the going competitive wage for carvers.
A little off the earlobe.
A little off the earlobe.
A little off the earlobe.
There you go. Distinctive.
You're hired.
Oh, Julian, do it right.
$25 a day.
Only $25 a day? You got problems.
$25 a day?
That's no wage. I could get $40 a day as a carver from other employers. I'm going to carve a place for myself someplace else. On those wages, you may get some hack, not me. You've got a lot to learn about competition. You'll have to meet the going wage. Julian has to compete with all the other people who might want my carving.
Don't get upset with my little sister. Working here's got to be worth it to her.
Anyone who might hire me as a carver is competing with all the people who might want me for any of the other things I could do instead. I could have been a cook.
She could have been a cook.
I could have been a shoe shine lady, long as I liked what shoe shine baby. I could have been a waiter, or if the wage were greater. I could have been a secretary,
Something that's more than junior.
I could have been a sculptress. I could have been a bus driver. I could have been a juggler. Anything I wanted to be, I could be.
Everyone tries to choose what's best for themselves. Me? I tried a paper route, but I earned more as a stock boy. You? Well, you gave up working at Leicester Station because Eleanor offered you enough.
If not, I would have stayed at Lester's.
But are you worth what you're paid? Are you worth it?
It's gotta be worth it.
It took a lot, but Julian learned about the supply of labor. You pay the competitive going wage.
Actually, it's the coming wage, because it keeps us from going away.
You offer more, and you're swamped with workers. You offer less, nobody shows. But he still has more to learn about our demand for labor. The number of workers I hire is affected by what that going wage is. Who's there?
It's me.
Me who?
Me. And yeah, you better come quick. Survey this situation.
How did you get in here?
The sign in the window. I'm hired.
What did you do? You put up a sign. Twice I asked you not to.
But I hired him at the market wage for finishers. Not too high and not too low.
Julian, pay attention. I am going to show you something about our demand for labor and the number of people we want to hire at that wage. Now, before I had any finishers in the shop, I sold unfinished furniture and took in $200 a day. Then one day I decided to try selling some finished furniture, and I hired one finisher. And that finisher increased the value of our product and sales to $270, $70 more than before. So I tried two finishers. At the end of the day, I had furniture sales of $330, $60 more than with just one. The $60 value added by hiring a second finisher was an increase, but less than the $70 increase when I had just one finisher. So I hired another finisher that made three. Then I had furniture worth $380 by the end of the day, $50 more than with just two. Three finishers were worth $50 more than two. I estimate that a fourth finisher would also increase value in sales, but only by $40 a day. Every time I hire another finisher, the increase in value in sales gets smaller. Now you can see why it pays to hire only three finishers. Look, finisher's wages are $45 a day. With the first one, my sales are $70 larger. I pay him his wage of $45, and that leaves $25 for other expenses. With the second finisher, sales are $60 more a day. I pay him $45, and that leaves $15 to help cover the other expenses. For a third one, the added value of the furniture is only $50. I still can pay his salary, but there's only $5 left over. All the leftovers help pay for other expenses. But if I had to hire a fourth finisher, he'd increase the value by only $40. And if I pay him $45, I'd be losing at least $5 on him.
So, ta-ta.
Ta-ta! So, my customers' demand for my products and the market wage for employees pretty much control how many workers I demand and can profitably employ. Whew. Thank goodness. I think Julian understands.
Hey, that's my model, don't you know?
Sure. Just testing.
Now, how do you expect I can paint it with a bite in the middle?
Just turn it around. Besides, you can always use your imagination.
You're at it again? Eating? You don't like it? How anyone can grab food all day. Brussels sprouts, cheddar cheese, cherry cheesecake, caramel-colored donuts. This is not just food. It's models for the furniture. Between your eating the models and my always getting the heavy stuff.
Now, fellas, come on. A little more cooperation, huh?
No, Julian, a lot less cooperation. I was going to leave this job at the end of the summer anyway, but I'm gone now.
I'll bet you think I'm going to hire another stock boy, huh? Wrong. I'm going to ask Eleanor what to do. Eleanor.
Who's there?
Me.
Me who? Oh, come in.
I got bad news. Lance quit just now. Now, who should I hire?
Julian. That's good news. Now I don't have to lay off one of the stock boys.
That's good news? Laying off a stock boy? We got furniture to move out there.
Guess what? Big bulletin. The minimum wage just went up. So I've got to pay stock boys more now. So I want less of them. Now it's cheaper to buy a machine. And I did.
That is it.
It's a forklift.
It's a forklift. It's a green forklift.
It'll pay for itself.
It'll do that, too.
Oh, it'll do anything.
Well, then maybe we should get another one, yeah?
I am buying this machine to replace the stock boy, Lance. And now, with the new high wages for stock boys, it pays. This machine will substitute for some of that more costly labor.
They don't have a machine that can replace me, do they? I mean, could they? No, they couldn't. A mechanical Julian?
Depends on what your wage rate is, Julian. For each type of worker that an employer hires, the going wage is very important. If an employer pays more than the going wage, he'll be swamped with people switching from other firms. Not only that, customers won't pay enough to cover the higher wages. Like when Julian tried to cover the Sanders wages by raising the price of the stools. If employers offer less than the going market wage, people will work elsewhere. The market wage must compensate people for the other things they could have done. The amount of labor demanded depends upon the value that service adds to production. The greater the number of workers, the less the value another worker adds. Like any other employer, I add employees as long as the increased value of sales covers the wage. The higher the market wage, the fewer workers we demand. We employers find substitutes for some of those more costly workers. But what a going wage is depends on demand and supply. The demand of all the employers, not just me, and the supply of people with those skills.
If you're a wise employer, the help you want will depend on the wage. And that's how you gauge how many guys you'll hire and how much worth to the value of things a new worker brings. The people who live on Market Street, you gotta see how they act. You're looking at economic facts. The economics repeat what people do. Here on Market, the people who live on Market Street, you gotta see what they do. The people who live on Market Street, they act exactly like you. The place is a melting pot with every sort of folk, from very rich to very broke. Just picture any kind of bloke, you'll catch him lurking there. The people who live on Market Street, they often do what you would. It's crazy around that neighborhood. They love to bicker. It's neat how they compete down on Market Street. Everyone's economics are based upon how these people react to economical facts. And like the Sunday comics, they're unprepared for most of the things that circumstance brings. The people who live on Market Street, you gotta see what they do. There's someone who does things just like you. It's economics we treat, so take your seat. Here comes Market Street. Here comes Market Street. Here comes Market Street.
Market Street, home of me. Ta-da! Jeffrey Washington, and a lot of other people you'll be meeting. Market Street is a neighborhood with all kinds of people. Maybe you know someplace like it. I mean, here on Market Street, we're the same as most people. That is, we're different from each other. Individuals with different backgrounds, different skills, different values. Still, we have some things in common. Like people everywhere, we try to lead our own lives, to do what we think is right for us. But one thing we all have to live with. We live in a world where goods are scarce, where there's scarcity.
Hey, Jeffrey, see, we got some dynamite bargains here. Look around. You just look around.
If you took everything we have here on Market Street, or even in the whole world, all the things we want, all the trees and food and airplanes, all the hospitals, clothes, education, everything, there'd never be enough to satisfy everyone.
Ooh, carrot cake. How's $4? I want it. I'll pay $5. You could buy the cookies. Here's $6. You buy the cookies.
Sold. At that price, I make some more.
Oh. Now that's a dress. I saw it first. Oh, it wouldn't fit you. Let me try it on. Let go.
That's a real nice dress. I think maybe my wife better keep this one.
We all want more of the same things. It's human nature. We want more things. Quantity. We want better things. Quality. Not only for ourselves, we also want more for others. How are you doing?
Terrific. I took in 110. Terrific.
Hey, that'll buy a lot of fun.
I should say not. This money's going for the American Destitute Fund.
Here on Market Street, we want more for our families. Better living, better schools, safer streets, cleaner air, more honesty, more friends, more of every good. Now take a rich man like Mr. Jameson. He owns a company.
A couple of companies.
A couple of companies. Votes independent, has a fair golf swing, and hates good music.
True enough.
He wants more. This here's Michael O'Shaughnessy. He's been a lot of things. Construction worker, carpenter, furniture finisher. He's crazy about art and cabbage soup. And he wants more.